Today is day 3 of the city's new initiative to combat crime underground. New details are being released about when and where these safety teams will be located.
Yeah, the subway safety plan launched after a weekend of violent assaults on the train. So joining us this morning is MTA Chairman Janno Lieber to share more about the new safety measures. Good morning, Chairman Lieber. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, Hazel. Good morning, Dan.
Morning.
So let's talk specifics. So there are 30 outreach teams comprised of the NYPD, mental health professionals, as well as homeless services. And you're targeting specific lines. So can you tell us exactly where they're being deployed first?
Well, what's happening is there are 30, as you said, there are 30 outreach teams that include both the PD, Office of Mental Health, other homeless services professionals, but there are also 5 teams that are at specific high volume stations: Penn, Grand Central, Times Square, Fulton, Jamaica Center. And there are 12 teams that are going to the end of the line stations because that's where we get a chance to interact with a lot of folks who are riding back and forth on the train. So it's more than just the 30 teams. However, as the mayor said, and the mayor and the governor are really leading on this issue, you know, they're taking on a tough issue and they're coming up with a plan and putting resources behind it. I think that that's leadership. But as they said, this is going to take a little while. The most important thing from the MTA standpoint, I'm just going to show you something, is they said, the mayor said, we're going to start enforcing the subway rules of conduct, which is really important because that's the way we start to attack the small issues of disorder, people smoking on the trains, not masking, moving around with shopping carts, which is dangerous. Disorder is the enemy of getting New Yorkers back to work.
Yeah, you know, and we always talk about perception and reality, right? And whether or not people feel safe while they're riding, and that's a big part of getting people back on. Additional police, as you said, Mr. Lieber, have been patrolling subways, riding the trains for over a year, but we're seeing the violence continue to escalate. So you're showing the rules. Yes, there are plans in place with this safety plan. Do they go far enough? Are there enough police in the subways? What are you looking for?
What I'm looking for, and I've been talking to the city about it for a while, is to move the cops that they have, you know, over 1,000 cops at a time working the transit system. But we want to make sure that they're on trains and on platforms, which is where New Yorkers feel vulnerable, rather than on mezzanines and elsewhere. So the mayor and the police commissioner have deployed the transit officers onto the trains, onto the platforms. We think that's going to make a difference, especially in combination with this commitment to enforce the subway rules of conduct, which, you know, everybody knows you can't light a fire on a train or smoke on a train. It alarms people, even if nothing else bad is happening. That needs to be addressed, and I think that the commitment we have from the mayor, backed up by the governor, is to enforce those.
Yeah, let's talk about the number of homeless actually camping out in the subways. The numbers have skyrocketed during the pandemic. I ride the subway every day, and I see it every day. Is there anything that the MTA is doing on its own to help alleviate this problem?
Listen, I think what at the end of the day, we need social service professionals, mental health professionals, and law enforcement. Those are all activities that are principally provided by the city, but with the state's support. So we're not going to get into a business. We're in the transportation business. What we're going to do, though, is coordinate and provide information to those professionals. Where are the homeless located? What are the situations that are unfolding, so that the law enforcement folks and the social service professionals can respond timely. We're going to work with them, especially at these end-of-line stations where you can actually get homeless folks or folks who are having other social service needs and get them at the end of the line and try to get them into service. That's a big coordination function that we lead.
How does this differ from what was the track intrusion task force, right? There was a lot that was talked about with the track intrusion task force that was going to hit the ground and kind of help with some of these delays and issues that you were seeing, people heading into the tunnel, so on and so forth. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, so where we are is that group, which I chartered some months ago, long before some of these high-profile pushing incidents. That group is coming back to me with a report starting this week. And what they're recommending is some major steps forward. One is that we test out new technologies to make sure we know if there are intrusions, if people are getting onto the tracks or getting into tunnels. 2, that we start to message more aggressively about the dangers. 3, that we deal with some of the ways, work with mental health professionals to deter suicides, which is a small portion of the episodes where people get onto the tracks. And 4, that we start to pilot this idea of platform doors, where you put the doors, the barriers onto the platform so that no one can get onto the track.
Okay.
So all of those approaches are going to be tested out, and the task force is providing a detailed report that goes into all the issues.
All right, Chairman Lieber, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's a lot of details that a lot of folks that ride the rails and ride the buses want to hear about. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.